Team, this is what you're in store for today with the amazing TMCF team and our wonderful Wells Fargo leaders. So Ashley, thank you so much for the kind introduction. And here we are, team. It is time to have the discussion around Wells Fargo careers and internships. Whether you're a freshman, whether you're in high school, whether you're a graduating senior or someone that's recently finished, this is the place. There's no place you should be other than this discussion here over the next 17 hours. Yes, I did say we're going to present for the next 17 hours on this content. Now, I promise you, 90 minutes, but it's going to be action-packed with a lot of really, really great information. Hey, listen, as we jump in with things, you've heard some information about me right at the top of the broadcast. Dewey Norwood, 24-year now veteran of the Wells Fargo and Company, and honored and privileged to be one of your co-hosts here for today's broadcast. I do want to go ahead and get that reminder in for us right at the top that, Tim, please remember that today's webinar is being recorded. So if you choose not to participate in a recorded webinar, now's a great time for you to politely disconnect. And at the same time, give us about a week or so, and then we'll be posting the playback for this webinar on the TMCF YouTube channel. For anyone that's watching the playback, thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about any of the information that we've shared, please don't hesitate to contact our Wells Fargo team or our amazing partners over at TMCF. So disclaimer is done. QR code there, that'll take you over to my LinkedIn to get connected in. Hey, as we move forward to the next slide, just a little bit of a spotlight around our firm. You know, when you think about the financial services industry, there are lots of amazing companies that are out there. I happen to believe that I work for one of the best ones, or the best one, I guess I will say. $1.9 trillion in assets that's serving 1 in 3 households across the US to help meet their financial needs. Also love the work that we're doing. Over 10% getting connected in from a small business perspective around the US, and just some really great work that's happening there. Obviously, you see the different lines of business that are represented here. You'll be hearing more about those groups throughout the course of today's conversation. And we also love to share some of the great work that's happening. So I would encourage any and everyone to jump onto our Wells Fargo Stories channel to learn more about the great work that's happening all across our institution. On the next slide, we always love to spotlight something. And listen, I got a lot of love for HBCUs. My wife went to an HBCU. I was not fortunate enough to go to one, but was smart enough to marry a woman who did. And so I want to spotlight for you the HBCU Legends Collection. We'll give you just a moment to go ahead and scan that QR code there to jump over to a great news story. And let's go ahead and jump over to the next slide. This is a brand new program that we just launched in April of this year. And I'm really, really excited about the amazing brand marks that you're seeing here. So on the left-hand side of the screen, we've got colleges and universities that are already connected in. And for you all are getting a sneak preview of our incoming class that's going to be coming. So we're excited to have our great friends at Clinton College, at Tuskegee University, the historic HU, Hampton University, Fort Valley State going to be in the mix with us, Jackson State University at JSU, North Carolina A&T also connecting in. My boss, Gigi Dixon's alma mater in Tennessee State, is joining the fold, and our great friends up in Ohio out at Wilberforce. And so huge shout out to Damon Ford, to Tamika Lindsay, the amazing leaders across our firm, Rob Woods, and just the entire team that's doing amazing work in these kinds of areas. So this is just another instance of Wells Fargo showing our commitments to HBCUs and this amazing program. And for any HBCU folks that are on, if you don't see your school here, reach out to Tamika, reach out to Damon, shoot me over a note, and we'll be happy to get you the information about getting your amazing university connected in. Hey, speaking of amazing, we're going to hand it back over to the TMCF team. They're going to give a quick PSA around some of the great work that they're leading. And then after that, we're going to jump right into the content. So Ashley, is this back to you?
It's back to me.
All right, that Red Bull, I hope it worked.
Absolutely. Listen, when I think about Thurgood Marshall College Fund, if you know, you know, and if you don't, I am here to share with you.
Come on down.
So TMCF is amazing. It was created in 1987, so it's about 35 years old. And Thurgood Marshall College Fund has awarded over $300 million in support of education. And this is through scholarships, leadership development, and entrepreneurship programs. So we have a lot of different programs as well. TMCF actually supports nearly 300,000 students, and those students attend America's publicly supported HBCUs and PBIs. So if you find yourself in that place, you need to check out TMCF. One thing that I do love is that 80 to 90% of TMCF scholars graduate. So this is much higher than the 1 in 3 college freshmen who tend to drop out of school before their second year. Now, also 85% of TMCF's first generation scholars continue from their first to their second year of college. And this is well beyond the national average, which is only 66%.
Wow.
So guys, if you're looking for funding or scholarships or programs to help develop, TMCF this academic year, 22 to 23, will have over 100 different scholarship opportunities and programs. And this includes several programs that will be funded by Wells Fargo. So super excited. There's opportunity. You do not have to graduate in debt. We are here to help with our different programs.
Ashley, some amazing information there. I also love this mission statement here for all of the work that the entire TMCF team is doing. So just thank you so much. And also for being the sponsor of this year's series and being our amazing host around all of this stuff. So it's been good stuff. Ashley, just thanks a million. I know we've got some other members of the team that are going to help us out with the Q&A a little bit later on. Anything else that you want to kind of let folks know before we jump in?
Make sure you apply and check us out at tmcf.org.
Okay, all right. Ashley Adams, everybody, doing big things. Hey, we're going to jump to the runner program, and then we're going to get to the real stars. Hey, summer 2020, it's kicking right along. I hope that folks are doing the things that you need to do to exercise self-care, taking care of yourself, taking breaks where you need to. Obviously, for some of you that may be taking summer classes or working on internships for the summer, getting every ounce of value that you can. The clock is ticking, and we're going to be back on campus in just a couple of weeks relative to things. So please take every advantage that you can there. By the numbers, and you all have outdone yourselves again. As of right before we came on, 712 registrations for us. And I was joking with the team earlier. I get paid by the pound, so the more of y'all show up for the meeting, the more it scales up. That's not really true, but it at least sounds funny. But 712, and I know we'll keep adding folks throughout the course of today. I do want to spotlight and celebrate some of our top performing universities that showed up just in great numbers today. Fayetteville State running through the tape first here. We have more registrations from scholars at Fayetteville State than anywhere else. The University of North Carolina at Charlotte, interestingly, my alma mater, coming in also in our top 5. Alabama, A&M, also in the mix here. Really impressed there. And then we've got a 1-2 punch in New York. We've got our friends kind of in the upper part of the state at Cornell University. So congratulations to our amazing Ivy League partners that are connecting in. And we've also got CUNY York. Shout out to all of the CUNY schools that are in the mix here, and SUNY schools too. But we've got really great. Look, I see so much dropping in the chat here. I love it. We've got good connectivity there, and the chat is open for business. So please keep using that. So just special thanks. And it's not too late, team. Even if you're on today or listening to the playback, share this information with others that you think may benefit from it. Hey, from a program's perspective, we're going to talk about careers. We're going to talk about pathways. You're going to get things that you need to know. And you're also going to hear from folks that are in this process now or have recently completed it relative to their career pathways. When we get to the end, we're going to be giving you lots of resources and action items that you need. A couple of final reminders before we bring on Cameron and team. Please remember, this is a safe space to present questions. If there's a question that's top of mind for you, I guarantee you there's someone else that has the same question. Please submit it. Under no circumstances will we read out your name or information for a question that you submit. Obviously, in the chat, we'll be able to see those kinds of things if you submit things there. But if you submit a question to us real time or drop something in the Q&A portion, we're not going to read those out, your name out directly. At the end, again, we'll give you some reminders around playback, a few more details to give you the opportunity to give us some direct in-the-moment feedback. Hey, get social with us. Use that hashtag WFC Beyond College, but also throw in a hashtag TMCF for Thurgood Marshall College Fund. If you hear something that jumps out to you today, jump on your social media handles, share the information, and let's make sure we are paying it forward. Don't forget to utilize the chat feature. Don't forget to utilize the Q&A for items that need to come in throughout today's broadcast. All right, we've covered off on the major pieces of things. Again, relative to submitting questions, go ahead and utilize either the presenter, or excuse me, the chat box for those items, or if you'd like to, you can simply reply back to the folks that actually sent you the login details for today. We'll be able to capture those and address them accordingly. All right, team. You know, we talk about superstars, and so we're going to hand the reins over now to a great partner of ours in Kit Cam. Kit actually is joining us by way of the Texas market and region. I think she's just back from Hawaii too. Oh, forgive me. It was the Cayman Islands this week. I think it was. It was not Hawaii. So, Kit, you know you can't get on a call with me without me picking at you just a little bit. She's a senior recruiting partner for our university programs team. Kit, is this probably like number 5 or 6 of these that we've done together? I mean, at least.
I don't know, Joey. I don't want to count anymore because that just ages us over the years, right? So, but what I can tell you is, you know, honestly, always a privilege and just so blessed to be a part of anything that you're involved in professionally. So thank you for letting me be here and joining this team today. So, and especially thank you, everyone, and good afternoon to each and every one of you for joining us today, because as Dewey had mentioned earlier, you know, we have tons of wonderful information and really resources that's in store for you today. We actually brought a whole bunch of panelists that will kind of give you really that firsthand perspective to share with you today. So before we get started, let me do a brief introduction to myself. As Dewey had mentioned, my name is Kit Cam, but I go by Kit. Please feel free to call me that. I am one of the many university programs recruiting team here. We have really the fortune of being with Wells. I've actually been with Wells for over 8 years now so far, and I am based out of the Dallas, Texas area, and we are burning hot over here. So if you have rain to spare, send it our way because it doesn't look good. My yard doesn't. So there are many of us within the campus recruiting team. We really support the recruiting efforts for both full-time and internship programs within Wells Fargo across the early talent programs that we have here. So again, really thrilled to be here with you all. Shortly here, you'll actually hear, shortly one of our very own tenured analysts will be moderating a panel of individuals that you'll hear from here in the next few slides. But before we get started, let me go ahead and start by really reviewing some key information and dates related to our application process itself. So let's go ahead and move on to the next few slides here, and we'll actually stick with the university programs experience slide. All right, great, thank you for that, Noel. So here we'll take a few minutes to see what it really means to receive a university programs experience. I know that you're probably wondering what that means, right? Slide 13, please, the one that you were just on. Perfect, thank you. So starting from the top left over to moving to the right, so left-wise, we offer really various benefits to participants who enter the business through the university programs route. You'll actually, we'll help you build and really expand on your networks with while experiencing the Wells Fargo culture firsthand. You'll also, benefit from specialized training, skills building, and also really gain insights from experienced employees in the form of mentorships or former alums of the program. Okay. So let's move to the center section, and then again from left to right. As program participants, you'll actually have access to exclusive events hosted by university programs participants. You'll also actually, if this is something that is really important to you, I know it is for me, you'll also actually be able to give back to the community through the community service activities that as interns that you'll actually be involved in, as well as analysts. Now, moving to the bottom box of the left, from left to right, there will be ongoing access to development and alumni engagement opportunities, even after your program, as you can hear, you'll hear from our panel some of the different activities they're involved in as well. Okay. So finally, you'll also have opportunities to hear from senior leaders across all the different lines of businesses within Wells Fargo as well. Now let's move to our next slide, which is going to be a listing of those different opportunities that I just shared that you'll gain from the experience with us. Okay. So here, opportunities have been categorized, and I kind of look at it 3 different functional buckets. Of course, there are always going to be sub buckets or subgroups within each of those segments. Okay. So starting from the top, and then we'll work ourselves from middle to the bottom box there. Really, we have the first major functional group is really what we consider banking, finance, and markets. Essentially, this is really our client-facing group, ensuring that we understand the needs of the clients that we have, and also so that we can deliver on those services and products to our clients. Okay. Without them, we really can't support all of the other ins and outs to deliver what we do best. Okay. Moving to our center bucket there, again, we can't provide service to our clients without enterprise functions. So this is one of the major buckets where we can't really provide that services, as I had mentioned, without the enterprise functions. They help us to deliver those services that we've committed to our clients. Okay. So lastly, technology. It's really the mechanism or the tool that makes it all happen, right? And how we deliver it. For example, the ATM system itself. Without that, our clients can't, either deposit or receive money from their bank account, for example. It's as simple as that, right? So let's move on to the next slide, which is, again, really starting with a listing of the full-time university programs opportunities that we have. So things to be looking out for, because those are coming up fast and furious. So on this slide, as you can see, it's a robust listing of the many different program opportunities that we have. And I am so confident that I know that at least one, if not more, will resonate with you and your interest. Okay. Now, our program, full-time program, will actually ideally want to target individuals that are looking at graduating around that December, really the end of this December 2022 to around May, June 2023. Those are the ideal graduates that we're looking for. Okay. Now, the length of the programs that we have listed there may vary by program. So it may range minimum of 12 months, where some are rotational, some are non-rotational, okay, or up to 36 months in lengths. Again, some are rotational, some are non-rotational. The majority of it will be non-rotational, okay. And opportunities do exist for both undergraduates and graduate levels, from master's up even to PhD level as well. Now, programs are nationwide. However, we do have really focused hub hiring locations by program. And for a listing of those different locations per program, it will be in the job description when it does open up. So do take a look at that, okay? So you're probably wondering, so when does this all start, right? Typically, our full-time program starts in early July. There are some off-cycle situations, but for the most part, 99% of it will start in that July timeframe. So again, be prepared to submit your interest in early September for many of these program opportunities. It will open for really our 2023 hiring needs. However, we do have some openings that actually will start as early as next week, as you can see on that slide. Now, we just reviewed some of the full-time opportunities that we have. Let's move on to the next slide that's really focused on our internship opportunities. So for our internship opportunities, the ideal profile of students that we're really looking to target is going to be really graduation range of anywhere, December 2023 or May, June 2024. Now, we do actually have some limited number of spots for sophomores, but those are rare. If there are going to be some specific functional areas that might have opportunities, for example, our commercial banking, that might be an opportunity, as well as our corporate risk undergraduate program as well. Okay. In terms of the length of the internship, it is a 10 weeks program starting in June of every year, and it ends around mid-August of every year. It is a pipeline into our really full-time program. That's the intention, is to be able to give you that firsthand experience. It's kind of like that, dating, try it before you buy it, so to speak, opportunity for both us and also for you. Okay. So if you are interested in internship opportunities, make sure that you do take a look at those opportunities that will be opening up here in the next few weeks. Okay, so enough from me. Let's hear from the real experts, truly from the different programs that we have represented here. Each will really share his or her own firsthand account of what they went through and how they, basically selected the programs that they selected to join. I can't think of anyone better to really kick this off and really moderate the panel than our very own Cameron Powers, because he actually personally went through an experience at least 2 different university programs with us. So Cameron, without further ado, I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks, Kit. Always a pleasure to do anything with our early talent programs, having, like you said, gone through it myself. My path to this point was not as common as most people, because I didn't do an internship. But I'm thankful to still be in this position. So I'm Cameron Powers. I am a senior corporate banking analyst with the financial institutions group within the corporate and investment bank here at Wells Fargo. I've been with Wells Fargo for a little over 5.5 years. I started as a personal banker at a branch in Alabama while I was finishing my master's degree. Not long after I finished my MBA, I actually started going through the early talent process and got hired as a financial analyst in what was called the commercial banking program, analyst program now, but it was called the financial analyst program then, in Minneapolis. So I had to move from Alabama to Minneapolis with a short stop in Charlotte, North Carolina for training for 6 months. I spent 2 years or maybe 2.5 years as an analyst in middle market banking before taking a job as a portfolio manager within the portfolio services group, which serves the commercial banking, middle market banking wing. Did that for a year and decided to switch things up, and came to corporate investment banking as a senior analyst. And now I'm back in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it's not a short stop. I'm legitimately in Charlotte now. So, I mean, that's enough about me. I could go on and on about myself, but I'm going to pass it off to this wonderful panel that I have. They're going to share some of their insights with you, and I'm going to start that all with Juanita.
Hi, everyone. My name is Juanita Maldonado. I graduated in December 2020 from Florida International University with a Bachelor's of Business in Finance and a Bachelor's of Arts in Economics. I am originally from Miami, Florida, but for the program and for my job, I do now reside in Charlotte, North Carolina. I joined the Finance Enterprise Program in July 2021. It consisted of 2 6-month rotations. My first rotation was in corporate investment banking, and my second rotation was with corporate treasury. I am now a treasury analyst for liquidity risk management. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to my peer, Christian.
Thank you, Juanita. Hello, everyone. My name is Christian Amia. I'm a quantitative analytics specialist here at Wells Fargo, and a lot of my work revolves around model development, model documentation, model monitoring, model testing. I joined Wells Fargo right after my doctorate in electrical engineering last year through the university program's quantitative analytics program. And I just completed my 1-year rotation last week, and I had the opportunity of rotating through 2 separate groups, one of them in market risk and the second one in corporate investment banking. And I am excited for all the exciting things I'm going to do now in my final placement, working as a front office quant. And I'm going to hand it over to Olivia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Olivia Barron, and I'm a portfolio manager within the Specialized Industries Healthcare Group within commercial banking. I started with Wells Fargo as a summer intern within middle market banking, supporting the Greater Charlotte commercial banking office. Shortly thereafter, I accepted my return offer and started within the financial analyst program, which consisted of a 6-month training program in Charlotte, North Carolina. And then shortly thereafter in 2020, I started as an analyst within Specialized Industries Healthcare Group, which was recently started, and it came out of the Healthcare Corporate Investment Bank. I will pass it over to Michaela now.
Hi, thank you, Olivia. My name is Michaela Kendall, and I graduated from Iowa State at the end of 2020, but I've actually been with Wells Fargo since 2016. And for my internship, I was with Wealth and Investment Management. And then for the associate program, I spent 6 months in the Chief Operating Office and then 6 months in the Controller's Office. And I do have a full-time job in the Controller's Office now, and just really enjoying my time here.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get the panel started. I'm going to start out with a very good question. This is for Olivia and Juanita. Why did you choose Wells Fargo as the place to start your career?
I can start us off. When I was in college, I knew that I wanted to be in some sort of finance role. I always enjoyed my business school courses, which included like accounting and everything like that. And joining Wells Fargo, I knew that I could enter into a role and also have the ability to move within Wells Fargo. And it just because it's a national bank, as it was said at the beginning, our balance sheet is very large. I knew that I would have many opportunities joining in as an analyst, no matter which group I was in. I ended up loving what I started in as a financial analyst, but moved into more of an industry vertical recently. So excited where my future will take me, but know that Wells Fargo always encourages people to, move around, really build out your knowledge set, and help the bank.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and contribute to what Olivia said. Wells Fargo is one of the largest financial institutions in the world. The resources here are endless, and I truly believe that the culture is second to none. Entering through the finance early talent program kind of gave me like an opportunity to experience 2 different verticals and learn what I like and what I did not like. If I would have gone to any other company, I may have been stuck in a single function and not given the same opportunity that Wells Fargo gave me to like explore and see my strengths and weaknesses. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and just to chime in, the size of this company is sometimes I'm still surprised because I learn about different groups and different things that they do, even though I've been with the company for, like I said, going over 5.5 years. So wonderful place to be. You can work a job for 2-3 years, get bored with it and find something else, and you don't have to worry about losing your time and position and losing PTO and stuff like that. So all right, so this next question is for Christian and Michaela. How has the current environment impacted your role?
Thank you, Cameron. Michaela, you want to go first?
Oh yeah, sure. Thank you, Christian. So for me, I know the current environment has impacted the finance industry in a lot of ways, but overall for us, it really forced us to integrate everything online, which has made our process much more efficient, but it takes a lot of work up front. And I also think these changes made us a lot more flexible, so we're able to better prepare for the unexpected in the future. But on a more personal aspect, I believe this unique environment has really made the start of my career in finance extremely interesting and has given me the opportunity to learn a lot.
Interesting. I had just a little bit more to add to what Michaela just said. I was actually hired right in the middle of the pandemic, starting last year. So there's not much of a different experience that I have other than working remote. And then starting, I think it was March this year that we moved into the hybrid setup. And for me, I think the hybrid setup is really great. You're spending about 3 days in the office, and then you have 2 additional days that you can choose to work from home. I think it's really a lot of freedom than what we traditionally get. And that's something to like help you really, something that you can maximize, because if you want to think in terms of like work-life balance, you want to be able to do other things outside of just your work. You don't have to worry about like so long commute, at least on those 2 days that you're working from home. I think that's a huge plus. Yeah.
Definitely can't argue with the short commute to from the bedroom to the home office. I do miss that. That said, and Michaela, I don't know if you started working from home or if you started during our return, or what your group setup was, but could either of you chime in on what that transition was like going back into the office?
Yeah, so for me, when I first started the internship, we were actually all online, but I do have experience working in the office since I previously worked for Wells Fargo before the internship. For me, I think that returning for the office was really exciting in some aspects because you get to see all your colleagues again. It's a lot easier to hop over to somebody's desk. But then there were a lot of unknowns as well, especially since we had moved everything online. I think that instead of going to actual meetings, we still have Zoom meetings and we still have team meetings. So in some aspects, I think it's changed our coming back to office life quite a bit just from some of the changes that we've already made. But in most of the changes I've seen, it seems to be positive changes and it seems to just boost our efficiency.
Okay, thanks, guys. Okay, so this question is for Olivia and Michaela. What do you know now that you wish that you had known when you were in the recruiting process?
I can go first. I think, as you saw in the beginning slides, there's so many different job codes, there's so many different roles within Wells Fargo. So really taking time to think about, what interests you, what you see yourself being interested, wanting to learn about more in your career, what are classes maybe you've been taking now that you've enjoyed and you want to translate into your career in the future. I think that entering into a career out of college, I had no idea really what I wanted to do, but I knew I liked kind of like the quantitative side of everything. So I knew banking was a good way to get into that. But that was probably the thing I wish I knew back then. It just so worked out that I ended up, getting a great internship and then a great return offer. But I think taking the time to really look through all the different job opportunities and reflecting is something I wish I knew.
And for me, I really wish I would have known the amount of resources and experience this program offers you. I know that when I was in the recruiting process, they told us that there were a lot of resources available, like those exclusive meetings and programs, but I didn't realize the abundance of them. And also during the recruiting process, I was a little bit on the edge about whether I wanted to participate. Only because I had been working for Wells Fargo for 3 years already at that time. And so I was considering skipping the internship and just applying for a full-time position. But I'm so happy I didn't and decided to join the program. Like Olivia mentioned and Juanita mentioned, you get to try out some different departments, so really find your best fit. I'm so happy I decided to join the program. I felt like I've gained a lot from it, and I definitely would take this route again.
Yeah, I mean, while my experience with the recruiting process was great, the only thing that I wish I knew, and this is before the recruiting process, I really wish I would have known about the internships. I have the opportunity to work with 4 interns here in our Charlotte office right now, and I've gotten the opportunity to meet the other 3 that we've got, or 4 that we've got across between our other 2 offices in New York and Minneapolis. And I got to tell you, the things that these kids are learning, it's amazing. And hopefully they all get offers, and when they return next year, they're going to hit the ground running. So I really wish I would have known about all the internships that were available with Wells Fargo prior to graduating college. Okay, so this question is for, speaking of internships, this is for Juanita and Christian. What did you learn during your internship that you may not have learned in college?
So I'll go first. One thing that I learned when I started working was that I had not learned in college was that it's okay to change your mind and not be sure of what you want to do. I personally didn't have, I knew I always wanted to be in banking, but once you actually start working, you're like, okay, but what part of banking? Because banking, there's a lot of different areas that you could work in. I also learned the importance of building relationships and how to conduct myself in a more professional setting. So I think that was very important. And I've also had the opportunity within the program to speak with a lot of the senior folks here at the bank and learn about their career paths, which has been extremely insightful.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Juanita. For me, I think this question kind of ties to the previous question for me, because I feel like a lot of the things that I'm saying now, it's the abundance of opportunities that actually exist. I am coming from a traditional engineering background. I had a bachelor's in electrical engineering, did a master's in mathematics, decided to go back for a doctorate in electrical engineering. I love my engineering, right? But one of the things that had happened to me was I didn't realize there were so many more opportunities that existed outside of the traditional engineering space. I mean, I'm working as a quantitative analytics specialist now, working with different models. These models are still, they're still mathematical models that we work with in engineering. But if I hadn't given myself the opportunity, if I had not considered when I saw the flyer about the quantitative analytics program and like we actually applied for it, I wouldn't have known that my skills were actually very transferable into this particular space. And then the other thing for me is having this opportunity with Wells Fargo, one of the leading banks in the world, has actually exposed me to so much more problems that actually exist in the world. There are so many financial products way beyond what we actually what anybody can study in school. I mean, I'm not saying school is bad, school is great, but sometimes it just gives you the generalized knowledge. But now coming into actual work, I'm learning so much more. I'm seeing actual problems. It could be something as simple as, or something as basic as we're trying to save time when people are trying to log on into their app. I mean, that's a real problem. Yeah, from school, yeah, we created an app and it's nice, people can log on. But then you're not thinking about real problems that you may not have actually even thought about when you were in college. That's what you're dealing with now within the industry. And I think that's something that was really great for me. Has been really great for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add real quick, adding to Christian's point, I think it's very important for everyone to know that college teaches you like the fundamentals, but actually working and coming and being with your peers like teaches you way more. So don't feel like, oh my God, college didn't teach you anything. No, it's gonna help you all, and everyone is here to help you all.
Yeah, definitely. I was just telling some of the interns here within the last few days that, we do not expect you guys to be subject matter experts on anything. What we're really trying to see is engagement and whether or not you can put together a logical explanation for whatever it is that you come up with on this project. So definitely, don't feel like, oh my God, I'm not doing good because I didn't learn anything. And then Christian, I'm going to nominate you to be the poster child for you do not need to have an accounting, finance, business, any kind of degree to get into banking. I have worked with people prior to yourself who did not have a traditional business background, and they are rock stars in banking right now. All you got to have is the desire. Thanks, guys. Okay, so this question is for Michaela and Olivia. What was the most challenging part of your first year with Wells Fargo, and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, so I'll start off this one. For me, I think the most challenging part was how fast-paced the environment was and really how steep the learning curve can be. Even things as small as the lingo that's used within the team can be really confusing, but being immersed in it teaches you a lot quickly, and soon enough, it doesn't feel so fast-paced. My biggest piece of advice is to ask as many questions as you need. Even if they feel small or obvious, they may help you connect the dots to see that larger picture.
Yeah, Michaela pretty much took the words out of my mouth. I would just say that, like, know that at one point everyone else was in your shoes at some point, starting off in their careers. And ultimately what got them to where they are today is by asking questions and kind of what Cameron said, no one's a subject matter expert. Just showing eagerness and willingness to learn is probably the thing that stands out the most from people who are just starting. And what did I learn from my first year? I think not being afraid to just, go over to someone's cube or ping them on your Skype and say, hey, do you have like 10 minutes to go through this concept? I'm just not understanding it, and kind of admitting when you're confused or don't understand something and need help.
Yeah, definitely. To me, that first year jitter of just, you want to know what's going on, but you just have to get over it and just ask questions. The worst thing to do is to sit there and be confused and pretend like you know what's going on, because it really slows down commerce. So the quicker you can, get out of that shell, the better. Thanks, guys. All right, so this question is for Christian and Juanita. Can you talk about how you manage your time while prioritizing other work? And you can approach this question from a, work-life balance perspective, or from a, prioritizing like which work projects should come first perspective.
Okay, so I'll go first. Like once you start the job, it can seem overwhelming, especially your first year, like everyone has been saying, but it's important to remember that we all go through that, and it's okay to speak up and ask for help, as we all said. Your coworkers and managers, I learned that, are all here to help you and guide you through like all the stages of your career, especially the early stages. My main advice when tackling on different tasks in a day is definitely prioritizing it by urgency. If you're not sure if something is urgent or which one is more urgent, ask your manager. I've had times where I've had different tasks sent to me and I'm like, okay, which one do I do? So I just ping my manager like, hey, which one would you want me to prioritize? And he goes and like calls me out, or even comes over to my desk and he's like, okay, let's do this one together. So definitely ask. I found that to-do lists and time blocking on my calendar to be the most effective ways to get things done and manage my work out like home and work and the office. Because sometimes your Skype will show like you're active even though you're busy. So blocking off that time to complete a report or something or an ask for your manager definitely helped. Um, in regards to what you said about work-life balance, I'm not a big believer in work-life balance just because inevitably one is going to spill into the other. So I do struggle to disconnect, which I'm learning on, but I do try to remind myself that it's like I work my best when I find things to like exercise, rest, and like entertainment, like watch a show or something. So breaking up my day is like causes me to be like more productive. Rather than being at my computer for 8 hours a day, I have also found that it's nice to like take 10 to 15-minute walks around the office, like around the buildings, connect with people, and then once I come back, I'm more alert and ready to tackle on all the tasks I have.
Okay, so I'm not exactly sure what else to add to that. I feel like we can create a book out of what Juanita just said.
Yeah.
But I mean, she's touched on a lot of the key parts that I've tried out for myself. Again, you want to make sure you're paying attention to those deadlines, right? Don't be afraid to ask your manager or your team, like, when is this thing due? Something else that I think, one other thing I would add to that is one of the things that I do that has helped me a lot is when I'm given like some kind of deadline, I give myself a proxy deadline. So I have a personal deadline for the project that's different from the actual deadline for the project. So it's typically maybe about 3 days or 1 week before the actual deadline. That way I'm buying myself some extra time just in case anything spills over. I thought I was done. But then my manager comes back and says, oh, there's this one small error or this little thing here that we need to tweak, that we need to adjust, or that we need to improve on. I still have a little bit of time ahead of the actual deadline. That's something that has really helped me a lot. On the side of the work-life balance, I mean, Wells Fargo, one of the things I've enjoyed with Wells Fargo is the amount of PTO that we get to have. There's PTO, there's a personal holiday, there's also community service hours, right? I would advise anyone here, like, one of the things you want to do is look for something that you actually enjoy that's outside of work. For someone like me, I and my wife, we really enjoy seeing different cities, traveling to different places. So every once in a while, we take a drive. I work from the Charlotte area. We've driven to Richmond, Virginia. We've driven to Atlanta, Georgia. We've driven to Texas, been to Dallas, Houston, and Austin. So it's just looking for something else outside of your actual work that gives you some kind of a break, some kind of refreshment, or some kind of a replenishing of your energy, right, outside of your day-to-day task. And I think it's essential and important. Just maximize the PTO, maximize it. You have a lot of it already, just use it.
Yeah, I really like what Juanita said about, the breaks, the 10 to 15-minute breaks, and not sitting in front of the desk all day. Hey, it can get tough. And sometimes looking at these screens all day, I mean, everything just starts to look the same. And I know myself, I just lose interest. So yeah, I have to get up, and sometimes I just go look out the window at, I'm not going to say the name of the stadium, but the Panther Stadium. Like Christian said, we get a lot of PTO, personal time off. You start day one, 18 days of PTO. A lot of companies aren't giving that out. And, you stay with the bank for 3 years, at the beginning of your third year, 23 days of PTO, plus you got 2 personal holidays and all the bank holidays. I'm a Wells Fargo homer, so just keep that in mind.
You forgot about the 2-day of community service.
Oh yeah, 2 days of community service. So
Yeah.
like if you have a cause or something like that that you like to get involved with, or if you just want to go to a school and read books to kids, or do like a personal finance thing. I've done those kind of things in the past. That counts as community service time.
Yeah, and something quick for those of you that didn't know, this is like a prime example of once you actually start working, you'll learn more, but PTO is like personal time off, so.
Thanks, guys. And so this question is actually for all the panelists, and I will chime in myself once everyone goes, but what is the most interesting project you have worked on during your early talent experience at Wells Fargo?
I can start us off. For me, it was definitely the project I did during my internship with Wealth and Investment Management. It was back when Barry Summers had just came from JP Morgan, and I was tasked with updating our financial comparison files to include JP Morgan. And really, it was just for practice. It was just to get familiar with the financials, as I was very new to the team. And the work itself wasn't too difficult. It just required a strong attention to detail. But my manager was so impressed with my finished file, they ended up using mine to present to Barry Summers over another person's version. Mine just had those really clean details in it, and they just thought that mine was outstanding. I was really, really proud of myself. So that was a really cool experience for me, and it really taught me that no task is too small to give it your all.
I can go next. So it's not necessarily a specific project I've been working on, but kind of how I alluded to earlier, the group I'm currently in, which is the Specialized Industries Healthcare Group, broke off of another larger group within Wells Fargo. So I was actually the first analyst on the team. So I was kind of in charge of building out our team, recruiting other people, making sure processes that we were doing were the most efficient way we could be doing things. And it was a really just cool way to see something grow out of nothing. And now our team has grown from when I was the only analyst, I'm a portfolio manager on the team now, to we have, I think, 8 analysts, 3 of which are in the development hub now. So I've just really gotten to see this group grow over the past 2 years and feeling like I'm really, truly a value add to the team.
All right, I think I can go next. One of the interesting projects that I worked on was for the commodity team. So we implemented a model. It's called a deal contingent swap, where you have an underlying financial instrument or financial deal, but this deal is contingent upon an event happening, right? And it was really interesting to me because I actually got a chance to actually build an actual price from like the ground up. Of course, it's connected to some of the other things that we already have in the system already, some of the prices that we already have for other financial products already. But it was nice to actually see something come. Literally, I was creating the entire deal contingent swap. I had to connect it to everything that was already in the system, implement the mathematics that's behind it. And I think for my final presentation, it was nice to see all of the results that we got from it and the way it made sense in terms of what the closing probability is, some of the different parameters that are involved in the model, to see how they actually affect the performance and the way it actually makes sense when you're talking in terms of how the deal is supposed to work. Yeah.
Yeah, those all sound really cool. What about you, Anita?
Hi, okay, so I'm in liquidity risk management. I'm happy to, in my team, when I first came into my team, we actually, my team specifically, we do something called the FR 2052A, which is a report that gets sent to the Fed on a daily basis. And the Fed actually wanted to integrate a couple new marks and amounts into the actual ratio that we report. And the entire Treasury had to create an entire new platform. So we all worked with like technology and everybody in liquidity risk to have the exact amount. So that was like a really interesting. I got to make PowerPoints and Excels for everybody in Treasury that was used in various presentations, which are actually used right now for onboarding people in Treasury. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that sounds really cool as well. The coolest thing I worked on was when I was in commercial banking. I've only been in this role for about 2 months now, so no cool things yet. But and Olivia will probably like understand where I go with this. But so as an analyst, I had to do a lot of writing reports and things like that. I had a portfolio that I was in charge of, and there's a lot of annual reviews, which is just a report that we write on a customer each year. And whenever something needed to be done, it was my responsibility to do most of the writing, put the charts together. But I was working with this one relationship manager. Think of a relationship manager as the face of Wells Fargo to a commercial banking customer. And this company was in the process of selling for a lot of money. And there was a lot of things that needed to be done internally, like you need to connect with someone from wealth and investment management because the individual had some ties with that group, and some things with our credit execution partners and things like that in the back office. And this relationship manager, he came to me one day. He was actually one of my mentors. And he said, hey, I want you to take charge on a lot of this back office stuff. I want you to reach out to these individuals. I want you to hop on the phone, figure out what we need to do, and report back to me, and we'll get it done. And, I was very nervous about that because I was one of those people that would send an email and sit there for 5 minutes reading it over and over because I was worried that, someone wouldn't like the tone, or maybe I made a grammatical error. And it really helped me to get over myself. But the coolest thing about that, and I met the owner of the company. He's 70% owner of this company, and we helped get that company sold for over $1 billion. And I just remember when I read that news article, how much it sold for. I thought about when I met him, and I was just like, man, I sat across the table, shook hands with a billionaire. I just thought that was so cool.
Thanks for that, Cameron and team. Honestly, guys, as you can hear, lots of really relevant, tangible work that our interns and analysts are working to support the efforts that we're doing here. I can tell you really quickly, actually, as a recruiter for one of the programs a couple of summers ago, our credit card interns actually worked on the active card, which was released, just earlier this past year. So very tangible. If you're interested in any of these opportunities, please, I encourage you to take a look at that through the website. We actually have some great resources here that I like to share. But before we do that, panelist and moderator, Cameron, fantastic job really in sharing your experiences and tips with all of us. I know I gained a lot with each of these sessions, a lot of insight from each of you. So I truly appreciate you all taking the time to share your experiences. I know for me, even as a recruiter, it really helps for me to kind of share that perspective with potential talents that we have out there, especially now that we're going to be going out to an in-person and potentially some hybrid events as well. So again, thank you so much. And team, I also hope that you gained and learned something from this experience and from what you've heard as well. So let's give our panelists and moderator a great big hand of applause for sharing their experiences and tips. So thanks, guys. All right, so let's go ahead now. Let's talk about the different resources that I had mentioned earlier. to kind of, you know, kickstart. Sorry,
University competition.
Alexa, stop.
That was funny, kid. That was real funny. That was real funny. Yeah, and I'm gonna call you out in class.
It happens, right? So let's take a look at some of the game resources that kind of helps to up your game and ways to different ways to stay in touch, and honestly, and essentially where to apply, right? So it's all here on this one slide, starting from the left, and then we'll move over to the right. Okay. So we are officially, official now. We actually have a QR code where it makes it easier for you just to take a QR snapshot of that, and it takes you directly to our career website, where you'll see a lot of listings of all of the different opportunities that we had shared with you earlier. In there, you'll actually see the different posting dates on there as well. Okay.
Hey, Kit, a sidebar relative to this one, because this is a question that's come into the queue several times. And again, scholars, participants, keep those questions coming in. We're seeing them, and we're going to aggregate them where we can. Kit, a couple of questions have come in. I know you're going to be spotlighting a couple of opportunities, but if a role is not active today, are you actually going to see it on that career website, or does it show up at a certain time? Would you give us 30 seconds on that?
Yeah, especially for our enterprise early talent program, it does typically open up that during the fall timeframe, which is early September, right? But that doesn't mean that it all opens at one time. Every program has different posting dates. So it is critical, as one of those resources that's listed on the slide here, Dewey, that's the talent community. That's where you can actually not only sign up to get up-to-date current information about different activities that we might be doing in your market, but more importantly, you'll get push communications about openings that might be relevant to you. So I strongly encourage you to do, join that talent community to get that push communication, because again, it gets opened at different times. If it's not there, it's not there at that moment, but it doesn't mean that it won't be there tomorrow.
So real talk, is the best practice to go ahead and set a reminder in your device or on your online calendar that says, hey, this is opening up in the next 24 hours or so, to just make sure those are there? Is that a good best practice that scholarship would be considered?
Absolutely. I mean, not only should you enroll with the talent community or opt in to get push communications, because again, you can set up that agent however you need it. Maybe you're finance or quantitative analytics, risk modeling, right? Whatever it is, you have the option to dictate what kind of push communications you want, right? But more importantly, you already know the dates and timeline that's listed and shared on the website. Be sure to set up, alert on your phone to be notified as well, so that you can be prepared to apply to it when it opens up. Because as I had stated earlier, or maybe if I didn't, right? But the posting will say that if we get so many number of applicants where we get to a limit or certain numbers where we are able to manage, we will close down after even 1 day or 2 days. So when you see it, apply for it.
Alexa, set a reminder for me to post for this role. I mean, it is probably that easy nowadays. So, hey, listen, I know you're going to keep rolling through. I've got a couple of other onesies and twosies that will give you. Keep rolling, friend.
All right, so let's take a look at, like I just mentioned, there's the tuition fund, the talent community we just touched upon. Let's talk about the last one, which is the Beyond College webinar. Hello, if you're not already part of that and you're obviously here already, take advantage of. There are some pre-recorded ones, but there's also planned future ones. Honestly, you already know my age, so to speak, already, but I am that old. So this was not around when I was growing up. I just really wish all of these resources were available to me, because honestly, if I was growing up and had all these access, I think I would have been one of those billionaires, maybe, but who knows? Because I would have been better at managing my money on a personal note, right? But also more prepared professionally, from interviewing skills, resume writing skills. Those are some of the components that Beyond College webinar does provide as well, and it's all free, right? More importantly, it does help to provide me some professional guidance through these webinars, because you'll hear directly from professional industries that will give you tips. We want you to be successful, believe me. As a recruiter, I'm speaking for myself, I'm lazy. I don't want to have to do so much work. So if you're successful, it makes my job much easier, okay?
Kit, thank you for the shameless plug around the webinar series, and it's close to our heart. This is year 8, so a huge shout out to my buddy Maggie Shortis, who helped us kick these off years ago, and you all will also be seeing more of these in 2023 as well. Hey, Kit, another follow-up that's just come in from a couple of different angles. Had a number of high schoolers on with us today, so shout out to the high schoolers. So we actually may read some of the names of your schools in a minute towards the end of the broadcast, but high schoolers are saying, hey, can I get involved? Can I actually do an internship as a high schooler? Would you touch on that briefly?
So, that's always a great question. And I have a lot of admiration for individuals who are starting that early, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with our financial industry, we are FDIC regulated. What that means is that you have to be at least minimum, 18 years of age to be able to either work or do internship here with us. And all internship opportunities that we have here are paid. There are a lot of confidential information. So there's always been discussion and interest, in the community that we support, where even local high school definitely want to partner with us. Unfortunately, no, we don't have those opportunities. However, we do partner very closely at all of the, from elementary to high school, to kind of share those financial education. We have mentors that are out there. So if you can't work for us, even at the early age, that's okay. We still have a lot of individuals that are out there within the business. And as recruiters myself, we are actively engaged in the community to help develop our future talents.
Perfect. I'll give you one more. And I do want to let the TMCF team jump in as well on the Q&A side. We've got a few other pieces to go over. Team, yes, this is being recorded. So special thanks to those that have asked for the playback. Again, give us a week and a half or so, and then go out and visit the TMCF, so Thurgood Marshall College Fund YouTube channel, and you'll see the playback. You can actually access the playback for all of the content that we've done already for this year. We have a number of students on with an international background. Kit, what special messages do you want to share with them relative to career pathways, and candidly, whether or not there's an opportunity with the firm?
Yeah, absolutely. There are. You'll just have to make sure that you do take a look at the job posting itself. We have early talent programs like these right across the enterprise, but we also have experienced hire needs as well. So it's hard for me to answer black and white, no, that we don't, or yes, we will, right? Because it's different. It's different because there are going to be specialized niche needs that each of the positions will look for. And if there are specialized technical skills that's needed, and we can't identify individuals within the US to be able to fill those needs, then we will look at sponsorship cases, right? I can tell you that our undergraduate programs, we do not have any opportunities for sponsorship cases. Even master's level, we do not. However, we do have our PhD quantitative analytics program, both internship and full-time opportunity for that PhD level that we will consider sponsorship cases.
Okay. What about someone that's a recent graduate, Kit? And thank you for answering that question. It's one that's come up a couple of times. What about someone that's a recent grad? They just finished. Or can they actually enroll in early talent programs, or do you have to still be in school to be able to get connected in?
I don't know if you have to be in school.
Right.
They can define it, recent graduate. What does that mean, right? Most of the, if not all, will list the range that their preferences are. I can tell you I've supported undergraduate programs before where their date graduation range did include recent graduates, like 1 or 2 years even right outside of school. But the quantitative analytics program is very much focused on future individuals that will have a graduation date of anywhere between 6 months to a year out.
Outstanding. All right, let's keep rolling. And shout out to the scholars that are joining. I'm seeing lots in the chat here. Folks are throwing their LinkedIn information in there as well. We've got our own little fun community going on here with TMCF and your friends over at Wells Fargo. So keep rolling. What else is top of mind today?
Well, just know that we're continuing to compete to get who gets the most LinkedIn. So Dewey, I'm aiming to beat you.
Listen,
guys, please connect with me.
So thank you, very kind. And I have gotten a couple. I never win that contest though, y'all. It's always the pretty people that win that one. So some folks are more handsome than me. So we'll just leave it at that.
Honestly, guys, just to close it out for us from a recruiting perspective and our team here, really time is valuable. Take advantage of all the different resources out there and maximize your experience. through all of these different resources that you're hearing from us. So I think right now, Dewey, it's over to you, but
yeah, perfect. We're just going to keep rolling here. And so I think some of these will be some items for maybe our panelists potentially. We've still got a few bonus minutes here. So maybe we'll touch on some of these items with our panelists. And Kit, I'll ask you to stay close as well for any of the items here. TMCF partners, I want you all actively involved in this side as well. If there's some questions that really jump out to you all, please feel free to kind of raise your virtual hand or jump in here in given areas. Panelists, one that's just right from the top. A lot of scholars are asking about the interview process. How did you prepare for it? Maybe some of the things you did well, maybe some of the things that you would do a little differently. I think you all touched on it a little bit, but please spend a couple of minutes more talking to that sophomore that's maybe now going to be applying for the sophomore summits, or that junior who's going to be interested in some programming for next year. How do you get prepared? How do you get technically prepared for the interview? And how do you show up in the right kind of a way? Panelists, please take it away.
I'll start. So my biggest piece of advice to you is look up the STAR interviewing method. This is going to be the key. So with the STAR interview method, let me look it up here so I get the correct words. It is situation, task, action, and result. So essentially they ask you a question and then your answer should follow that template. So you should describe the situation, describe what the task was, what your action was, and then what the result was. And really what I do, because I think my biggest problem with interviews is nerves. I just look up a website, I look up a ton of interview questions, I go through the STAR method, and then I get someone that I'm really close to, my dad, my husband, and then I have them look up different questions and ask me questions that I've never heard of so I can come up with answers on the spot. Wow. It gives you so much more confidence. You get so much more prepared. And if you're lucky, they're going to ask you one of those questions that you already have a prepared answer for, and it's going to go very, very smooth for you.
So, Michaela, you can actually practice some of these things, it sounds like. You don't have to go in, please.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely practice. And you don't have to practice by applying to jobs and practicing the real way. Practice with your friends. Nice. Just write out answers, anything that you can.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Hey, listen, great response there. Panelists, anything else that you all want to touch on here? Because if not, I want to bring on Jackie from the TMCF team. I think she's got a couple of great questions in the hopper. And for those that are utilizing the raise hand feature, thank you for doing that. Just for our purposes today, we won't take any of those questions live. Drop them into the chat, though, or of course, you can follow up with our panelists after the show to be able to go over any of those. Hey, Jackie, we got you out there in Radio Land, right?
Yes, you do.
All right. Take it away, my friend. You can pick the hard questions. I was giving them the easy ones. You give them the hard questions.
Oh my goodness, Dewey, goodness gracious, no pressure. So this is a very great question. When we read in news articles about all the amazing deals and partnerships Wells Fargo has with other institutions and other businesses, this particular individual is interested in how these types of deals fit into the work of our panelists. So what hand do our panelists play, or what role do our panelists play in some of these large deals that we see?
I can take that. I think for like a financial analyst role, we're really in the weeds with the numbers and, you know, the industry and the company, making sure that we understand the credit that we're looking at and being able to present that to a credit committee, ultimately to make sure that the risk we're willing to lend to these companies and, you know, give them our money to make a return on, we know that we're going to be ultimately repaid. So I think a lot of the work we're doing is really in the weeds that maybe you might not see in the headlines or anything like that, but just knowing that like we're working countless hours, just simply going through their financial statements, really looking at the industry they operate in, looking at key risks or anything like that, that could negatively affect our repayment.
Thank you. Anyone else wants to share or add to that?
Yeah, I would just say like Olivia said, like at the analyst level, it's not always like directly in front of the customer. But the way I look at it is at the end of the day, like the work that I put together, the person who's going to go present to the customer needs the work that I put together, because they're not going to put all these charts and things like that together themselves. And if you're lucky enough, if they believe in you enough, they might actually put you in front of the customer and allow you to ask some questions and chime in. That hasn't happened to me at the level that I'm at now, because I'm at a point now where I'm dealing with companies that most people on this call know. So they haven't put me in front of those companies yet, but in previous roles, yes, I have been right there and been allowed to, say what I had to say right there to the customer. So always look at it from that perspective. Whether you're going to talk to the customer or not, your work is going to see the customer. So you've got a big hand in what's going on.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for those responses. So this question will go to any one of you on the panel. Do you recommend contacting the recruiter if we hadn't heard back from them after they've initially contacted us in the time frame that they said that they would about interviews? So pretty much, should I bug the recruiter? Is it okay for me to reach out to the recruiter if I hadn't heard back from them?
I can't believe that question didn't go to what's going on? I don't bite, people. I don't bite.
Kid, I put that one in there directly. That was me. I didn't put that one in there. I'm just kidding. These are these amazing students that presented that one. But real talk, friend, how can you do that without feeling like you're creeping on people's stuff?
Panelists, over to you, and then I will certainly add.
I was gonna say Kid is the best person to like answer that question. I don't want to be quoted that I said something.
I nominate Kit. Raise your hand if you want Kit to answer that one, y'all. Hot seat. Ladies and gentlemen, Kit Cam.
There's a fine line, right? It's all about approach and the timing. And it's just like, what is the right approach and what's the timing? Okay. Yeah. When it needs to come through from an authentic and good intentions, right? Here's what I've been sharing with the interns that are currently interning here. I have been doing one-on-ones in each and every one of them, right? And my expectation for them and for me is I want to give them a time frame of window for me to provide them with updates with next steps, right? Because remember, right now, we want to be able to provide them with an update or an offer potentially after their internship, right? Same thing with interview process, okay? There's a time frame. What I expect is if I am not as a recruiter committing to that time frame, I actually ask of you all to take ownership of that and help me stay on task. Hold me accountable for that. I assure you, I'm not going to be offended by that at all, okay? Now, if you approach me in the wrong way, which is, what the heck, why are you doing nothing, right? That's not the best way to approach it, but there are a lot of moving parts. Sometimes, time frame gets shifted, right? Well, even with the best intentions, I want to be able to provide that guidance and updates, but sometimes it does slip through cracks. So please approach me, hold me accountable as recruiters and all recruiters. We do reply back and provide you with some updates when you do reach out and help us and to stay accountable as well. So I would say you have a good gauge, 2 weeks after maybe your interview, but really after your interview, you should always follow up with an email, right? To say thank you, here, reinforce your skill sets and why you're a good fit for that opportunity you just interviewed for. But actually 2 weeks is a good gauge, but also really utilize that time frame that the recruiter had shared with you as to when to expect an update. And if it's outside of that, I strongly encourage you to reach out.
Okay, that sounds really reasonable. Jackie, anything you want to add to that from your perspective? Any best practices that you're giving scholars and students today? I know you presented the question, but I know you've got color here, friend.
Yeah, and I think we're absolutely aligned with the feedback that Kit shared. You know, we always encourage students to be your own advocate. You are your number one advocate. And so making sure that you're going about that in a professional way is always top of mind. But by the looks of the chat and the engagement I've seen so far, I have no doubt that you all are professionals and ready to do those gentle nudges whenever you need to.
There you go. There you go.
Perfect.
All right, Jackie, we've got a couple minutes here, maybe 5 more minutes of Q&A here. We'll give you as much as 7 more minutes on these, and I like that rapid fire method that we're going now. So the person that's got the best answer can be the one to respond. We did get another question about the playback. Don't forget, TMCF YouTube. If you just do a Google search for TMCF YouTube, that'll bring up the page. You can go ahead and bookmark the playlist for all of our prior sessions. And again, give us 7 to 10 days. You know, Jeremy and the team have to get some of the post-production stuff done, but these will be out there for playback. Jackie, please.
Absolutely. So this next question, it was related specifically to this student's interest in quantitative analytics, but it's such a phenomenal question. I think it reaches everyone. So what should I focus on to become an ideal candidate for the internship program and other opportunities?
Christian, what made it successful for you?
All right. Okay. So what did I do? You know, we mentioned this earlier during the when we answered some of the questions that we had received before. You're not expected to know everything. You're not expected to be a subject matter expert coming in. But of course, there are some other things that you can work on right now. And one of those things is, one, your communication skills. One of the things that we're looking for is good communication skills. I know for my, when I came in, the way the process was set up, I actually had to do a presentation as part of the interview process. And it was, I mean, I was excited about that because I was like, okay, well, at least I know that I can do a little bit of presentation. And then on the second part of it is also improving your technical skills, especially if you're considering the quantitative analytics program. I mean, you're working you're either working on developing a model, or you're working to improve a model, or you're working to write documentation for a model. All of that technical skills comes in there. And that's why someone like me with an engineering background can still do well within the quantitative analytics space. So one of the things you want to do for yourself right now is take advantage of those technical skills, those technical trainings that you're getting, whether it's learning, being better at your programming, or learning even like your mathematics, just making sure you have your mathematical background solid. These are some of the things that I think you can really do for yourself. And something else that I usually tell anyone, if you're considering an opportunity in finance, regardless of your background, hey, just do some Google search, just read about different financial products, like increase your knowledge about banking. You're not expected to be a subject matter expert, but it's nice to know that you're not coming with zero knowledge, right? You have some time now before the interview to kind of prepare yourself. I mean, it could be the difference between you and somebody else. The fact that, oh, you actually understood this other product, you're able to use this particular term that's used in banking, that could be what's going to make the difference. Yeah.
And get a PhD, just like this man did 2 Zoom boxes over for me. I got to point this way, point the right direction. 2 Zoom boxes over. That also helps. that also helps. That also helps. All right, Jackie, let's keep it going. We got 3 minutes on the clock, team. 3 minutes on the clock.
All right. Well, I think I found a perfect question that might even help us round out this particular portion of the segment. So, panelists, one of you, what would you say is your favorite part of working at Wells Fargo, and what does your typical day look like?
Day in the life. Love it. Hashtag ADITL.
I can steal this one if no one else would like it. For me, I think my favorite part about working at Wells Fargo is what Wells Fargo can do for me. Wells Fargo has an abundance of resources. I feel like I'm always gaining a deeper knowledge. Wells Fargo has so many different paths you can take if you feel like you want a different career experience. But not only that, Wells Fargo, they pay a premium for their employees. They have great benefits like we mentioned earlier. but also their people are like the icing and cherry on top of it all. Not only does Wells Fargo do all of these things for you, you know, on paper for your career, but you're surrounded with so many other just highly intelligent people who are driven to succeed. And by surrounding yourself with those people, you naturally just get that motivation or that boost to do better and to do the best that you can be. So I think that's my favorite part about working at Wells Fargo, is just be surrounded by everybody that has such a high motivation to succeed. But my day-to-day work is really just supporting my team. I'm pretty new to the team, so I don't have too many things assigned to me to do like reporting wise, but really I'm here to support my team, here to learn as much as I can.
Well said, Michaela. And honestly, I've been in the corporate world for over 20 plus years, and with large corporations, smaller ones as well, but majority of it has been large one, and even bigger than Wells Fargo. For the most part, they have different resources, and just as much as Wells Fargo does. But to piggyback on what Michaela mentioned, honestly, it truly is the people, the leadership team, the team that you're around. I've been here with Wells, and I can sincerely tell you that this is, I hope to be my last company that I work in, okay, and contribute to, and to me as well, because I truly do believe this is a team that I want to grow my career with and retire from. It's very supportive, collaborative. Is it perfect? I'm going to be brutally honest. No, it's not always perfect, and that's okay, because no place is perfect. If anyone tells you otherwise, you might want to second guess that what they're sharing with you, okay? But I can tell you the people that I work around in the team, we are supportive. We're here to support each other to be successful, and we root and contribute in a meaningful way where it will help you to grow in the role that you're in. Okay.
All right. Well, Jackie, we'll give you 15 seconds for a closing thought, and I know we're almost at our time here for today. So let me let you share a closing thought. We'll give everybody some reminders and get them on to the rest of the Thursday evening.
All righty. So there were a couple of questions that we could not get to. Please don't worry, you have the resources.
Let's take one more.
Slides.
We'll take one more.
Okay.
Take one more. Rapid, or two more if they're super fast. Super fast.
Okay, wonderful. This is a great question for us all. How do you deal with failure?
Wow.
Let me just take that real quick. Another thing I love about Wells Fargo, it's the encouragement that you get. I mean, we keep saying it's about the people, it's about your colleagues, about the team that you really work with here at Wells Fargo. Here at Wells Fargo, we don't see failure as a negative thing. It's just it's learning. It's a learning opportunity, really. You're learning, okay, this way doesn't work. It gives you room to do something else. It gives you room to try it a different way. So in terms of dealing with failure, again, failure is not negative. It just means this is one way this doesn't work. And you will the plan is going to be to find another way, try out another way to be able to get it done. I remember taking a video or a course in that where we're actually learning to see failure a different way, because coming from college, yeah, failure tends to be a really difficult thing to deal with. But here within Wells Fargo, again, I can't speak for any other company because I work here with Wells Fargo. Failure is an opportunity for you to learn. Yeah.
No losses, just learning opportunities, Kristen. All L's are learning opportunities. All right, Jackie, you twisted my virtual arm here. We'll give you space for one more or two more if you can get it in 2 minutes or less.
Okay, thank you. I'm doing it for the students in the chat. It's all for you all.
The chat has been fire today, by the way.
It has been.
So don't forget, if you have that capability, you can save down some of the content from your side if that's enabled. So Jackie, please.
So this one is for our students who are super proactive. So they said, I've attended the Beyond College webinar series. I've looked at the resources. I've even applied. What's next? What do I do?
Wow.
So you know I'm on LinkedIn. Reach out to me. I will be happy to connect, and then we'll start engaging from there, and then we'll start some dialogue. I'll be happy to help. Just know that I'm not the only recruiter in this organization of 260,000. What will help is during our engagement, once we connect, provide me the job ID. I'll be happy to look and connect you to the appropriate path.
Perfect. Perfect. I think that's a great way to look at it, and a great follow-up item. So for everybody that's out there, we're going to give you a moment. I'm going to ask all of our panelists that are still with us to go ahead and put on your smiles, so you all can get a screen grab. So we're going to give you 10 seconds here to get your screen grab. All right, so for our scholars and participants, now is your chance to take that screen grab, throw it on your favorite social handles, and mention, hey, here's something that Michaela shared. Here's something that Jackie presented. Here's something that Cameron touched on, or Juanita, or Olivia, or Christian. Go ahead and throw those items out there. Find them on LinkedIn, engage there, continue the conversation. I promise you, if you don't reach out, they're probably not going to reach out to you unless they run into you like at Starbucks or getting lunch somewhere. But if you reach out to them, we can continue to have those conversations. So let's keep those things moving where we can. All right. Along the lines of keeping things moving, we're going to get you out of here in the next 5 minutes. That's our commitment. Some final reminders here, team, and you'll see that on the next slide. A few details for some action items that we need. Survey. You've got the QR code there on the screen. Please take a moment and go ahead and scan that QR code. This will give you an opportunity to give us some direct in-the-moment feedback on the content that we've shared here for today. Please use that form. It's a great means of us being able to get a measurement of how well we performed and some things that we can tweak and adjust for future sessions. All right, down to slide 30 here. Let's talk about Beyond College. Again, same rules. Go ahead and scan that QR code. It'll take you over to the page, and you'll be able to access the entire series. And we're moving through these quickly. We are now 8 presentations in. You'll see that information on the next slide. Everything that's been accomplished since January of this year, and then everything that is to come here over the coming weeks. And so as you jump forward to the next slide, you'll see that we'll be getting together again in August. What's going to be a really, really dynamic presentation and discussion on building your leadership brand. By then, you all will be back in classes, and we'll be just a couple of days away from the college football season getting kicked off. And so in September, we'll spend a little bit of time talking about charting a path to graduate school. This is where we traditionally bring in industry leaders, both from our firm and from external firms, to give them an opportunity to talk about some of the work that they've been doing and the processes that they followed. Maybe they did a full-time program, maybe they did a part-time program, and they'll share a little bit of their experience. Maybe they went to law school, maybe they went to medical school, or went into other kinds of areas. So we'll spotlight some of those areas for you all to take into consideration. October is Get Smart About Credit Month, so we got to talk about the C word. We want to make sure that you're getting every resource that you need at your disposal to be successful along your credit journey. So we'll spend a little time talking about the processes there in those kinds of areas. And I think in November, we'll wind up with what is always one of my favorite topics of the year, and social media smarts. And so huge shout out to our internal Wells Fargo colleagues that will be joining. And we traditionally bring in some more outsiders for this one. So I'm hoping that we can get some of the great partners that we've worked with in the past to be able to spotlight some of the things candidly that you need to be thinking about doing in social media, and maybe some things that are cautionary for you, some things that you maybe should not be engaging in different areas. So, all right, we've kind of covered off on those pieces. I think the last item that we'll just give you a reminder of is on the next slide here, and it's really just revisiting some of the items that we talked about just a little bit earlier. You see the references that we have there, again, for Beyond College, for the talent community, and also shout out to our friends over at Tuition Funding Sources. We've got some really, really great resources that are out there and available. So big shout out to Richard and his team. It's an aggregator. You can jump onto that site. You can learn about, candidly, lots of different things, but primarily scholarships that are going to be available for you, whether you're a high schooler that's getting prepared for college, or whether you're someone like Christian that's either obtaining a doctorate or is on their pathway. So make sure you check out the information there. And also a huge shout out to any of our folks that have a military background. We've got our great team over there in Sean Passmore doing some important work for veterans. So huge shout out to any of our veterans that are tuning in. or watching the replay of this, just thank you for your service, and just know that there are great resources from a recruiting perspective for you all there as well. All right, we promised to get you out of here. I do want to jump to the last slide, and as we do that, huge shout out. I told you guys I was going to recognize the high schoolers here. So we got Arizona College Prep High, we got Bolsa Grande High, we've got Canyon High, we've got Castlemont High, we've got Chatsworth High, Downtown Magnets High School out in LA, got Emory High, we've got Geraldino High, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Gardena High, so maybe out in Cali again, Hardaway High, James Mason High, John Burroughs High, Miller Grove High, Milpitas High, I hope that's right. I see Providence High School, who you're repping, Charlotte, Randolph Early College, and then we've got some other partners in here as well. So congratulations to all of our high schoolers who were able to join. My final thought is to thank our amazing panelists, Olivia, Michaela, Juanita, as well as Christian, for just the great information that they shared. Cameron, yeoman's works are there on the panel with facilitating things there. On the TMCF side of the house, got to give a huge shout out to Ashley and to Jackie and to also Jeremy, who's out there. And Noelle is somewhere out there, or she's listening to the playback. So Noelle, just make sure I call your name out. I won't get in trouble. And our buddy Betsy, who I know is double booked today with some other work. And then, of course, Kit, Kit, thank you so much for all of your great work and for all the good information that you shared. Let's, again, let everybody come back on the screen for a moment here. And if you want to give a shout out to folks or clap it up for them, we appreciate it. Again, just final reminders here. Don't forget our next webinar is coming up about a month from today. We'll have a great discussion again around building your leadership brand. And so let's continue the conversation in the days ahead. If you have questions or comments, team, on any of the items that we've touched on, don't hesitate to contact us. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Continue to stay safe. Let's finish these internships in a strong way. And then let's get back to campus and handle the things that we need to continue to do there. Share this information with others. Throw something on social media relative to something that you learned from today. Team, until next time.